Hey guys, welcome to my Lost Book of the White reading vlog. Look what the postman dropped off this morning. If you guys know, I had a major issue getting this because I pre-ordered it to be dispatched on the day of its release, but I put in my wrong card details because I'm an absolute idiot. So that order got cancelled. I then had to rush to reorder it and it arrived today, which is only 5 days later. But I have been so stressed because I really want to get started and tell you guys my thoughts. As soon as it arrived, I flipped the cover over because I much prefer this cover. My Red Scrolls of Magic edition is the cartoon cover, so now this matches that one. I'm actually going to start this book on Monday and I'm going to try and do like 3 chapters a day and then film my thoughts and my feelings and then make a massive collage of everything at the end of the book when I finish it. I actually promised one of my friends that we would read this book together, aka both read the same 3 chapters every day. So I'm waiting for her to finish her other book and then we can get started. The day has finally arrived. It's time to begin the Lost Book of the White. I've waited for my friend to finish the book she was currently reading so that we could read this together. It has taken me so much restraint to stop starting this before she was ready. I've been warned in advance not to read the Gem and Tessa short story at the end with their wedding in because there's a slight spoiler in the story that relates to the actual plot of the book. For anyone that knows me, you know this is extremely hard for me. I'm a huge Gem and Tessa fan, so I really want to read it and it's really hard not to, but I'm going to follow her advice, not going to spoil anything for myself and start from the beginning of the book. So the book begins with the prologue, which is set in 2007, which in terms of the TMI series is the middle of the series, the City of Glass novel, and the prologue ends with Sebastian and Clary on their horses to go and try and find Ragnar to get the Lost Book of the White so they can wake up Jocelyn. I thought it was really interesting that she decided to do the conversation between Magnus and Ragnar because obviously from Clary's perspective she just meets Magnus who tells them that Ragnar is dead in the Mortal Instruments book. So it was nice to see there was like a method behind Ragnar's madness of disappearing and faking his own death. The Immortal Gang is one of my favourite gangs in the Shadowhunter Chronicles, so this was a really nice interaction between the two. I thought added a really nice depth to the start of the novel. I will say I feel like it went on a bit. I know it was only like 6 pages. I feel like it could have been done in 2, but I'm through it and yeah, I've so far really rated the prologue. Chapter 1, The Sleep Thorn. What on earth just happened in these so few pages? I am shook. I love Magnus and Alec as parents, such a cute scene. It's full of funny moments, particularly when they're trying to get it on and they just get interrupted. Magnus wearing his very unsexy sailor pajamas. This is, you know, Cassie at her best yet again. I think she's really got the hang of writing these characters now. Shinjun again, can we not? Why is she back? I love the bit where they were like, I thought you learned from your lesson. No, I haven't. I'm just chilling out with a different greater demon this time. That was really funny. Ragnar. As soon as he came in and didn't make a joke, I was like, that's obviously not him. Like, he's obviously got some sort of spell on him. When Magnus got stabbed, I audibly gasped very loudly. I'm intrigued to see what this means, what this gift is. Even though stabbing someone doesn't seem like the greatest gift, in my opinion, I would rather get stabbed with Cortana by Emma Carstairs if I was going to be stabbed by anyone. And then my favourite moment, I think, was the last bit when Alec comes in from the shower in his robe and Magnus is just like, Alec never thought that he was very like extraordinary, but he hadn't seen a Shadowhunter in full battle mode. That was a really sweet moment and I love Alec and he was a very underrated character. I like to think he's not as underrated as he previously was at the start of the Mortal Instruments series. But yeah, great. You love to see Magnus thirsting after his boyfriend. Great content. Here's to chapter 2. Chapter 2, I'm just a few pages in and they have already called Katerina to deal with Magnus's wound. Katerina is one of my favourite characters. She's such an underrated character. I loved the short story in Ghost of the Shadow Market with her and Tessa in World War II, helping out in the Blitz. That was one of my favourite stories. Big up, calling Katerina, smart decision. Obviously, I knew that this book would be set in Shanghai, but I still found it really funny when Magnus and Alec were trying to pick out the globes and then the New York map, it wasn't big enough, and then Alec was like, okay, like what about this worldwide map? And then they were like, yeah, okay, they're in China. And when Alec said we're gonna need some backup, I was like, the TMI gang are coming back. Katerina has just walked in and said, "Take that hideous silk thing off, Magnus," referring to his robe. And it's really funny because I actually have like 3 kimonos. I feel personally attacked by Katerina Loss at this point. The TMI gang have just walked in and I have never been so happy to see anyone. Jace is there drinking out of Magnus's cups and telling Magnus that everyone's arrived, and Magnus is like, "Oh shit, I have to go put some more clothes on and have a coffee before I deal with this." He finally comes back and Isabel and Clary are standing underneath Max trying to get him down from the ceiling. It's just heartwarming stuff that I've missed from the TMI gang. Simon has just walked in and Cassie called him Simon Lovelace. I cannot cope. This is the content that we want. Simon Lovelace. Oh, I'm gonna get hit in my George feels soon. I know that he's gonna be sad about George, which makes me so sad, but I really like that he's now a Lovelace. I'm so happy with this. It's now Wednesday and I'm planning to read 2 more chapters of the Lost Book of the White. I loved the conversation between Magnus and Alec about who would be looking after Max while they were away. I won't lie, I did already read this in one of the snippets that Cassie posted in one of her Shadowhunter newsletters, but I loved the way that they mentioned that Mayrus actually raised Jace, so she was perfectly capable of looking after Max for a few days. I love that the idea of the High Warlock started as a joke. Like, it's not actually an official title, it's just something they started at parties. I loved the reference to when Magnus first became the High Warlock of Brooklyn and he went into the New York Institute for the first time, and it was obviously run by the Lightwoods who were in exile, and now he's going back like arm in arm with Alec and their child. It's a nice little parallel and contrast. Kadir Safar, oh hello, look at this little bit of side piece that Mayrus has got going on as well. Magnus and Alec being parents is killing me. This is so cute when they're talking about like Max's favourite books and Alec is able to quote, "My heart cannot handle this." Maya appearing as a projection like the queen she is. I love her character. I'm really happy she gets a bit more screen time at the moment because she is just great. Jace testing out the Morning Star as his new weapon is just ending me. I've missed sassy Jace so much. I'm so happy to be back with him again. Clary being able to draw portals but not actually knowing what they mean is so funny because you know that it was her ancestor Henry that invented them. So it's quite funny because she's like, I don't know, like I just draw them but I've got no idea how they work. That's a nice little addition. It's now the morning of Friday the 11th of September. I have literally just woke up. I'm still in bed and unfortunately I had to stop on Wednesday because I was going out for dinner with my friend. Thursday I was also busy all day and I didn't have time to get around to read any more of the Lost Book of White. I don't start work until 3 p.m. today, so I have a couple of hours this morning. I'm going to try and read 3 chapters. The first thing I want to bring up is I feel like this book has a really quick pace. I'm just at the part where they're at Romanus's apartment and there is a demon attack through the open portal and I just feel like everything is happening at once. I know that this book is a tiny bit shorter than the usual books that Cassie writes and those ones normally have I think about 4 to 5 chapters of like setting the scene, whereas this is just like straight to it. I love this mention to the Clave and Isabel saying that we are the Clave. This isn't like a few years ago when we were too young to have a voice. It's a nice little progression because I remember in the Mortal Instruments series it was only Alec who was 18 and who could go to the meetings, and it's just like a nice progression into adulthood, and you know we've seen these characters grow up and we have grown up with them, and it's just like a nice nod to that. I think one of the last things in chapter 4 is the reference that the Key family are related to Jem. I really hope that Jem's in this. Even if he just appears and says one line, I will just like scream internally. So yeah, high hopes for Jem Carstairs appearing. So I've just had the story of the young warlock girl who was found by the sighted mundanes. I really like how Cassie is like hellbent on filling in every single gap in Magnus's life. I think some people like wouldn't like that, but I really enjoy it because I really like to do like a mental timeline. Magnus has just been stabbed again and I can't cope. Why is this happening? This is not the content I asked for. Chapter 6 and they've just got to the Institute. Brother Zachariah or Jem has been told to look out for them. Izzy fangirling over the rope dart is so funny. I really hope she goes and buys one in Shanghai and then takes it back to New York with her. It sounds like a really good weapon. Simon and Izzy fighting the skeleton warrior demons together is just such a heart-melting moment. I really hope there's lots of Sizzy moments in here. Jem has just appeared. Yay, so happy Jem's appeared. I don't even care why he's here. As long as he's here, I'm happy. So Jem has just explained to Magnus or an Eldest Curses. This is really interesting. Side note, I really love it when authors drop the titles of their books into the story. I just love it. The nerdy part of me just screams inside. Really sad that Jem and Tessa got married in secret. But obviously I know this lends itself to the extra short story at the end of the book. They're all eating all the Chinese food, and it's so funny because they've just stuck in because they eat the Chinese food so much in New York. The TMI gang we know and love that always order Chinese takeout. Jem's just explained his relationship with Yanlo and what happened. Been hitting the feels so hard. It's not even midday and I already am emotionally a mess. And Jem's like, it was 2 lifetimes ago, and I was like, it wasn't, I remember it so well. Alec going outside and finding Jace sat by himself looking at the moon dramatically is peak Arendelle, but also such a cute Parvati moment when they're talking about if Jace should accept the offer to run the institute, and Jace is like, you know, if I don't do it, they'll send someone else, like an adult. And Alec is like, Jace, we are the adults. I felt that on like a spiritual level, like that hit me in my heart. It's now Sunday and I've just finished chapter 8. Actually sat in my garden because in England it's just randomly sunny today for no apparent reason. So I was sunbathing, I read chapter 8 and I literally fell asleep on the grass. But here's what I thought about chapter 8. Peng Fang having a huge cardboard cut out of Alec is iconic. Great writing from Cassie. That was a really nice like humorous moment, and it sort of broke up the tension of the chapter. A small note on the pacing of the book. I've seen a few people online saying that it sort of reads like fanfic, which is an interesting take, but I kind of feel like that's because loads of random stuff keeps happening. The reason I think this happens is because unlike the Infernal Devices or the Dark Artifices, the 3 Eldest Curses books are like separated over time, so I feel like you sort of have to get into the action straight away. I think that's why the pacing is a bit quicker than normal and why some people think it reads quite like jumpy, sort of like fanficky, but I personally really love the style and I'm having a great time. I think I am just under halfway. It's now Monday, it's still sunny here, so I am sat outside again. I've just started chapter 9, which takes place in the Celestial Palace. Favourite highlight so far is Jace being able to read Old Norse ruins because he says his dad was an abusive taskmaster, which is, you know, harsh but true feedback for Valentine. Just started chapter 10. A portal has just opened again and all hell has broke loose. Isabel falling into the tent and Magnus worrying about her, only for her to resurface with the spider demon on the end of a spear like a kebab, which she flings around and knocks 2 more spiders and kills them, is the most badass thing I have seen in this book yet, and there has been lots of demon fights already. I've just finished the end of the Black and White Impermanence chapter. The end of part 2 sees him going into Diju, into the different dimension. I am getting the most horrendous flashbacks, not only to TMI when they go into the hell dimension and Simon loses his memory, but also to Thule, the alternative universe in the Dark Artifices, and I'm just full of angst. I don't know if I want to go on, to be honest. If it's anything like what happened in Thule, I'm going to be a mess, and if it's anything like what happened in Asmodus's dimension, I'm also going to be a mess. So there's just, you know, I just think I'm going to be a mess and I'm not ready for this, but we're going to carry on. I've just started chapter 11, the First Court, which is the first chapter in part 3, and I'm absolutely shook. This is Magnus's first experience with the Silent Brothers and his first meeting with Ragnar. I just assumed they were of similar age. I did not assume that Ragnar was very much older than Magnus. This is actually quite mind-blowing news to me. Update, Simon has gone missing. He's come through the portal, but he's not landed where the others have landed, which is, you know, absolutely horrific, but also I'm not surprised. Cassie does some crazy things to Simon Lovelace. I never have hope that he's going to make it through a book without being harmed or something bad happening to him. It just happens to him all the time. I do not know what's going to happen next, but I've got a feeling Izzy's going to do something crazy. The demon Elias has just appeared and I am absolutely in pieces. He is one of my favourite demons and I just love him. I'm so excited for what he's about to do. He's just so jokes. Like, obviously you want to kill all the demons, but he is just the demon you don't want to kill. He's like your demon friend. He's just so funny. As soon as Cassie wrote Long Tentacles, I was like, I really hope that's who I think it is, because I absolutely adore him so much. I'm not being dramatic, but I think that was like the best interaction of the book so far. Oh my gosh, I absolutely just love this demon. Absolute. I don't want to give too many spoilers, but top tier humour here. Absolutely loved it. Oh, the best demon ever in my opinion. Isabel has just offered herself up and I am in total shock. Why did I not expect that to happen? But also I should have seen that coming. That is the end of the first court, which is the first chapter of part 3. On a separate side note, one thing that I am really enjoying is the use of Chinese mythology and imagery, how everything is sort of based in this Chinese folklore. And I really enjoy when mythology and dystopian or sort of like YA fiction meet. I think it's a really nice meeting point, and I think she's done it very well in this book, and I'm really impressed. It's Tuesday afternoon and I'm just about to start reading another chapter of The Lost Book of the White. I feel like I'm reading this book so slowly, not because I'm not enjoying it, I really am, but because life has just got in the way recently. Samuel appearing at the end of this chapter so nonchalantly and introducing himself is the funniest thing. Magnus is like, oh, look at this backpacker, it's probably not important, and then he's like, oh yeah, I'm Samuel. And that was really good. I'm so intrigued to find out more about this man. Chapter 13, The Serpent of the Garden. I won't lie, I literally read chapter 12 and then had a nap because I had to get up at 5 a.m. today to go to work. But I've just woken up and I'm like, right, I'm going to do another chapter. So here I am in the exact same position as before, but like plus half an hour nap into the future. Samuel saying he doesn't have an eldest child. I don't trust this. I feel like he definitely does. I'm really expecting him to have one and for them to appear in the Wicked Powers. I do not trust this Prince of Hell to not have an Eldest Curse. Jace calling the cohort just a small group of crazy people. No, I am not ready for that, because we all know what happens to this small group. They become a huge group of crazy people and cause an absolute havoc in the Dark Artifices. It is Wednesday. I'm back in the garden for the 3rd day in a row because it is lovely weather here. I've just started chapter 14, Certain Falling, and the first thing I want to pick up is Jace saying that he felt a bit unsure because he just jumped off the bridge, and that normally he didn't mind doing crazy rash decisions because it only affected him. Now this affects everyone, and Clary's like sassy comment like, do you not think every time you risk yourself it also risks me and my feelings? And then I just got like a really horrible stab, remembering at the end of the Dark Artifices when Janus, aka Thule Jace, comes into the real world and has to deal with the Seelie Queen to kill the real Jace and to get Clary back into his life because he loves her so much. And I just got a stab in the heart because I'm really scared for the Wicked Powers, and this just reminds me of #Clace, this sentence, and you know, I'm scared for #Clace and the Wicked Powers, but not much more we can do. It's not coming out for another 3 years, but yeah, just had like a brief scare there. In Magnus's free fall and he's having this crazy dream, and Raphael's just appeared, and my emotions are not ready for this. Absolutely miss Raphael like crazy. One of the reasons I loved Red Scroll so much is because there was Raphael content. This is so sad that he's back. Of course he's just arrived and Magnus is like, you're dead, and he's like, well, technically I've always been dead. So that's quite funny. Top points for Raphael with the vampire jokes. Okay, that chapter was so short but so scarring. Not only did Raphael come back, but Max turned into like a full-on crazy warlock baby demon. Oh, so much just happened. It is now Friday. I do apologize. I've been reading The Lost Book of the White so slowly. I've just had so many things on, like work and other commitments. I've just woke up and I'm going to try and do lots of reading today. Chapter 15, The Lady of Edom, and Shinjun has just told them that she knows where Simon is, and I do not trust this woman. Shinjun reading out the different types of hell and the hell of being pecked to death by ducks, and then Jace, like the true Herondale he is, being like, what's this one? I love these running Herondale jokes that they hate ducks. Are you absolutely kidding me? Simon is being tortured this whole time. Although, one question I have to ask is, why has Clary not been able to feel Simon being tortured if they're Parvati? Because their runes seem to work in this dimension. So why is their Parvati rune not working? Am I missing something? Tell me the answer, please. Let me know in the comments. Oh, of course, Samuel's pissed at Simon because Samuel was actually in love with Lilith and Simon slew Lilith. It's definitely like a YA thing, but especially in Shadowhunters, I feel like people's like love interests make them do crazy things like go to the end of the earth. But yeah, of course it's a love interest. I'm getting major Malcolm Fade vibes in terms of his relationship with Annabelle Blackthorn, and you know that everything that he did in the Dark Artifices just to bring her back. Isabel just arrived on a huge tiger and I will be forever in awe of Isabel Lightwood. It's absolutely a great moment. I am so happy to see her, and what an entrance! 10 out of 10 for this amazing entrance of our girl Izzy Lightwood. Chapter 16, The Phoenix Feather. I must say, I am really upset because Magnus literally thought that Ragnarfell had been dead all this time, but actually he's been like plotting this whole thing. Obviously he was possessed, so it wasn't like in his own doing, but he's been working with Shinjun this whole time, and Magnus has like mourned his friend's death. One thing I do want to comment on is I have found this book, I really am enjoying this book, but I have seen a few people say that it sort of reads a bit like fanfic. I think I've spoke about this in previous videos, but I do think, yes, this book does have some elements where it does read a bit like that, but this chapter, when they are all sat in the church and discussing everything they know and all the information, I think that's very on brand for the Shadowhunter Chronicles and the style of these books, because that's like such a thing that Cassie enjoys doing, is like putting all the characters in one place and having like a debrief and like discussing strategies. But this chapter is very much back to like the roots of all the Shadowhunter books, and I do think that changes the whole dynamic of the book in my opinion. Okay, Tian has gone up so much in my estimations because I honestly thought before he was a massive traitor, but I'm so happy that now he has revealed like there was a plan all along and that he was only doing it so he could get in and so that he could escape because he was scared about his secret with his girlfriend. The gang are now in the weapons room trying to find some new weapons, and Clary picking up 2 swords and doing like a really graceful like arc and little routine with them, and Jace being like mesmerized is so cute. So Tian and Alec are talking about how there's so many secrets and how the Clave is just like no one's honest with each other, and how the Shadowhunters keep secrets from the Clave. And I think it's really nice. It's like a nice nod to the fact that Jace and Clary become the heads of the New York Institute, and then Alec obviously becomes the consul. But I think this is a nice like, you know, foreshadowing of those events, and hopefully how the Shadowhunters can feel more accepted by their new leaders who understand the importance of the Downworlder Shadowhunter Alliance. Oh no, Simon is talking about George. Obviously he's really upset and he's just really angry because he's like, you know, he's been through so much and he's just sick of the way that Shadowhunters always sacrifice themselves. Everything's a gamble, and he's like, you just gamble with your lives. I don't want to be a part of this. And he's seething. He's so angry. And then he brings up George, the fact that George wasn't doing anything dangerous. He thinks he was more worthy than himself to become a Shadowhunter and to ascend. Just really sad. And I've been waiting for this moment because I knew Simon was gonna crack at some point. It's just hard to read Simon like this. Clary has made an alarm clock rune. What a queen. Why is this the coolest thing? Like, I thought the contraceptive rune was pretty cool, but she's made an alarm clock rune. I mean, props to her. Like, she's the best rune maker. I really like how there's like a goodbye to all the couples that are going to go to sleep, and there's a nice like Clace moment, and then there's a nice like Simon and Izzy moment. Favorite quote is when Simon says, "My life rules, my girlfriend has a flame whip. That's a true statement I just made." One thing I do have to say is I do feel slightly sorry for Tian because he's just on holiday with 3 couples, and as someone who has been single for quite a while now and all my friends are in relationships, I honestly feel his pain. The end of this chapter has just finished with the quote, "Just keep it in mind, you're my heart, Magnus Bane, stay unbroken for me." Alec and Magnus might be unbroken, but I am definitely broken. This chapter was just chef's kiss, so good. Chapter 17 begins with Magnus sneaking out and leaving Alec asleep, and I expected this completely. Honestly, as soon as they went to sleep, my first thought was, well, one of them is going to sneak out and do something behind the other one's back to try and protect the other one. Okay, so we've just got the story of how Magnus and Katerina met. This initial meeting between herself and Magnus, just loved it. Big up Katerina and Magnus's relationship and the start of the Immortal Gang. Magnus has just gone to meet Ragnar, and I don't know why, but when Magnus brings up the fact that he's really like upset and really bitter that Ragnar didn't actually get in contact with him after he faked his own death, I just got like the best flashback to the start of Magnus's and Alec's relationship, when Alec goes to rescue Magnus, and instead of asking him how he is and how they're going to get out of this like hell dimension, his first thought is, why didn't you call me back? It has just been revealed that Samuel's original plan was actually to collaborate with Sebastian. I am so happy this didn't happen, because oh my god, these two characters have destroyed enough between them separately. Together it would have just been literally hell, like quite literally just hellish. Ragnar realizing that Raphael has died is really, really sad, and I just got a flashback to the Red Scrolls of Magic in the party in Italy when Raphael is texting Ragnar on his phone and he isn't getting a reply because obviously Ragnar is quote dead at this point. It's just really sad because they couldn't say goodbye to each other and they really admired each other. Wait, what? The end of chapter 17 and they've just come around the corner and they've just seen that the church has its roof blown off. I am not ready for chapter 18. How can I just leave this book like this? Oh my god, what's happened? And Alex saying that he needs the swords and I know that the swords are gone. Oh, it's just a mess. Hey guys, it's Saturday 19th of September. I'm going to try and do a few chapters now before I go out for lunch. So here goes chapter 18, and I've just opened my book and I've just remembered that the end of chapter 17 was utter chaos and I'm so excited to get back into it now. Alex saying that he used his alliance rune with Magnus to try and locate it so he could run towards him is giving me like Parabati rune vibes. Obviously we know that Parabati can locate each other, and this alliance rune sort of is like this in the same kettle of fish. So I'm thinking, is the alliance rune not just the Parabati rune but a bit more like DIY? Why would you need a Parabati when you could just have like an alliance rune that would fade? And also we all know that you can sleep with whoever has the alliance rune, like Alec and Magnus, so you won't have the whole like black stare situation ever. So just a side note, a smart shadow hunter would rather have the alliance rune with someone that they trusted or were in love with rather than the Parabati. That's just a tip from me there, from me to you. Alec has just thorned himself. I have nothing to say here. Chapter 19. The Endless Way. Oh my god, is Alec gonna be okay? I am so worried. So let me get this straight. Because Magnus and Alec were joined with the alliance rune, Alec could steal a bit of Magnus's magic to then take the Thorn's demon magic away from Magnus's chest. He just literally yeeted that out of Magnus's chest, made it into a fireball and shot it up towards the sky. Shinjun has just become a greater demon and has just left through the portal. When she became this huge demon, what I thought of was the Doctor Who episode with David Tennant and Catherine Tate, and it's with the giant wasp. If you guys remember that, let me know, but that is what I thought of when Shinjun became this greater demon. Samuel's just left. He's literally just like, well, I guess that didn't work then. See ya, kids. And he just left. This guy. The fact that Magnus is just remembering just how much Ragnar has missed. So like he's missed the Alliance rune, the Mortal War, the Dark War, and the fact that Malcolm Fade's now the High Warlock of Los Angeles. But yeah, like Ragnar's really missed a lot. Oh, Jay's making a plan and putting himself on like the higher platform because his leg's broken. Then putting Izzy in the middle because she has a whip, and then putting the others at the bottom to get with the close demons. This is the making of the next head of the New York Institute. Today is Sunday and also the day I'm going to finally finish the Lost Book of the White. Chapter 20, The Soul of the Clave. Tian has just told Alec and Magnus that if the Clave is to survive, their little family dynamic is the future that the Clave should aspire to be. And we all just know this happens. We know that like 2 years from now, Alec is the consul and he's married to Magnus. They have their second son, Raphael, and everything is good. There's a nice little reference to the events of the Red Scrolls of Magic when Magnus and Ragnar are talking about the fact that Magnus did actually fund and start a cult, which is obviously what happened in the Red Scrolls. We get a nice bit of context to why Ragnar went by the nickname Shade during the Dark Artifices series. Obviously, we know through the Dark Artifices series, particularly the later books, that Kit and Ty are contacting a warlock to do a certain deed. No spoilers here. And the warlock that they get in contact with is called Shade. This warlock does turn out to be Ragnar in the end, but it's interesting to see the creation of his nickname. Okay, the whole scene inside the Institute is comedy gold. Not only do Maris and Kadir lie about Max being like really well behaved, because the fact is that Maris has got her arm in a sling and Kadir has got a black eye. Then you have Jace saying that he will actually run the Institute as long as he can do it with Clary, which is just so cute. Another cute like Clace moment. Then you have Clary and Jace saying they went to tell Simon and Izzy but they were a bit busy, and you know exactly what they were doing. And then last but not least, you have Magnus sadly thinking that he's still a bit like monstery and he doesn't want to hold Max, he doesn't want to touch his son, and Katerina is like, Alec, I'm borrowing your boyfriend now. And she takes Magnus outside and she has a word with him and she's like, Magnus, stop being a little shit and stop thinking the world revolves around you and get over this right now. I think the final line of chapter 20, the last chapter of the book, is so clever. Cassie saying that the look Magnus gave Alec was golden as a coin, as Nephilim wedding cloth, as the morning light through the windows of home. Obviously the windows of home refers to their apartment, and the Nephilim wedding cloth obviously refers to the upcoming wedding at the end of the Dark Artifices series. This is like a nice little allusion to that moment. It's a big surprise for everyone involved, well, mostly for Magnus because Alec planned the whole thing, but it's like a nice little foreshadowing, but like a happy foreshadowing. So that's the end of chapter 20, and I'm now going to read the epilogue. Just looking at the epilogue before I begin, it looks quite short. It's little over 2 pages and I'm slightly worried because I feel like it's going to tie into the Wicked Powers series. Obviously the Wicked Powers series has been confirmed, but that is literally the only thing that has been confirmed, the fact that it's going to happen. And we know who the main characters are going to be. Apart from that, Cassie said it's basically like a shell, so anything could happen. But I'm going to read this epilogue and I'm going to try and think about what the Wicked Powers could be about. Cassie describing the different princes of hell and all how they're sat there and talking to each other does make me think of the artwork that she commissioned with Cassandra Jean when they drew all these princes of hell. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to view this, but it's really cool because like I'm reading this and I can sort of like envisage what these princes of hell look like, so definitely check that artwork out if you can. Do you, rumbled Mammon? Yanlo's old place, we had some parties there. Yes, Samuel said. I want to talk about Lucifer. Nope. Like, no. Oh my god. That's the end of the epilogue. Okay, predictions for the Wicked Powers. All the Princes of Hell are going to come together and form like a mega team bad. I am terrified. Obviously, I think the Princes of Hell are the so-called Wicked Powers. The Shadowhunters barely get by just battling one of them, but all of them together, this epilogue has scared me. Luckily, the Wicked Powers isn't coming out for a good few years now, so I will just remain scared for the years to come. But I'm gonna flip the page and read the Jessa wedding now and forget any of this epilogue ever happened. Here we go. It's time. Magnus scheming to give Jem and Tessa the wedding, but while everyone is asleep, is just crazy clever. Tessa's pajamas are grey with bunny rabbits on it, which is just classic, and it's like total mature Tessa. But Jem's are so canon. I genuinely think that Jem would wear these green and navy blue plaid PJs. I was worried that because Cassie was writing this like so many years after she wrote the epilogue for the Infernal Devices, that she would maybe maybe write them a bit out of character, but she didn't. I'm really pleased with it so far. Magnus making Tessa's wedding dress, but making sure that she gets her jade pendant and her silver bracelet that she got from Will on her 30th wedding anniversary just like warms my heart. Everyone has just appeared, and by everyone I literally mean everyone. The Blackthorns, Emma, the TMI gang, even Church the cat is here. Oh, I just remembered that Livy's here because this happens before the Dark Artifices. I don't know, I can't say anything else without spoilers, but I'm really sad that Livy's here because my heart hurts. It says Mizpah on the wedding ring. Are you kidding me? The other ring is just the quote that goes with Mizpah from the Infernal Devices. My heart cannot take this. Random side note, the fact that Tessa is also doing this whole like magic in her dream thing by producing her ring from thin air is just really funny. Like, oh, it's just great. I'm so happy that Tessa really came into her own as a warlock in the later years. Mark and Kieran have just appeared and it's adorable, but Magnus is like, so I definitely invited Mark, but who's the other guy on the horse that could be so close to Mark that he's also appearing in this dream? It's because they're lovers. Will's just appeared. I don't know what to do. Will's just appeared, and I know that he's not a ghost because he passed and he was happy and he didn't need to be a ghost, like he had no unfinished business, so he passed into the next life. But he's just appeared as a ghost or as some sort of spirit. Will's here, and I think my heart is breaking even more than it was before. That's it. That's the end of In Dreams Begin. I am not okay. I am very broken. I'm gonna need 5 minutes. Okay, some final thoughts about the Lost Book of the White. I am really surprised that it took me just over 2 weeks to actually read the book. This is both partly down to the fact that I've just started a new job, but also at some points I did find I almost had to motivate myself a bit to read it. But yeah, so that was something that's more of a negative of this book that I did find. On the positives, I actually really did enjoy this book in the end. I loved that the TMI gang were back. I missed them so much. Although all this stuff happens to Malec, I do feel like Clave and Sizzy and Malec are so strong in their relationship as well. They could like deal with the events and the problems together and not have any arguments about like who they were, what place in their life they were at together. One thing that I did really like was the use of Yanlo, the demon, in the Infernal Devices. This demon plays such a small part. Obviously, he's a huge part of Jem's backstory, but I think, you know, that's sort of like, oh, that happened, that's the past, now this is Jem's life. Whereas a lot of the Lost Book of the White was the consequences of Yanlo that you don't necessarily think about because you're so happy the demon's gone. So I think that was a really nice, interesting take on that. I think overall I would probably rate, I mean, I've never actually rated books before on this channel, but I think I would probably rate The Lost Book 3.5, maybe 3 3/4 out of 5 in terms of how I'd rate it compared to the other Shadowhunter Chronicles books. My number one are still the Dark Artifices series, all 3 of them, right next to Ghosts of the Shadow Market. They are my like top tier. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's like right at the top, but it's neither at the bottom either. So I think maybe like upper middle. So I did enjoy it. However, I do think I enjoyed the Red Scrolls of Magic a tiny bit more. Maybe that was because we got more like Helen and Alien content, and I just love them together, one of my favourite ships as well. But it was nice to see the TMI gang back together, and I really did appreciate that. And again, it's just more Malec content, and you can never have enough Malec content. So yeah, this is the end of my reading vlog for The Lost Book of the White. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Please leave me a comment below with your thoughts. If you had any different or even similar reactions to some of the things that I've said, just let me know. I'd love to hear what you guys thought of the book, and we can have a huge discussion in the comments below.